Taylor Swift, Ticketmaster, and Yasser Arafat are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is December 13th, 2022. It is the 347th day of the year. There are 18 days left in 2022. We have the city doing tree trimming right outside my recording studio window, so sorry for the noise if you hear it in the background. I'm hoping this nice mic I have doesn't pick it up, but we'll see. Today is the 50th Tuesday in the 50th week and the 83rd day of fall. You got 8 days left until winter. Today is National Violin Day. I love the violin. I own a violin. I cannot play it to save my life. By drawing the bow across strings, the violinist manipulates sounds in several ways. The violinist uses numerous bowing techniques to master the violin. The strokes dictate not only notes, but the quality of the note played. The violin comes from the medieval Latin word of vitula, which means stringed instrument. A violin known as the Lady Blunt brought a record dollar amount when it was auctioned in June of 2011. The Stradivari violin was sold for $15.9 million. So Antonio Stradivarius was an Italian violin maker, and he lived from 1644 to 1737. And he's the one that made all the Stradivarius violins. These violins are a thing of musical legend. Over the centuries, Stradivarius instruments have graced concert halls, museums, private collections, and recording studios. They've been praised for their clarity, richness, and individual character of their sound. Now, there's a bunch of different theories on why these violins are so much different than, let's say, modern violins. It could be the craftsmanship, it could be the way they were created, but one thing is the wood that he used. I tried to find more information on it, but this one scientist was talking about that he had used trees that may have been around from the last ice age or something like that, and I don't know. It was really interesting. I wish I could find the information. If I ever do, maybe next year we'll talk about this on his birthday or something. All right, let's see what else December 13th has given us. 1577, Sir Francis Drake set sail from Plymouth, England on his round-the-world voyage. 1623, a lot of Plymouth stuff. The Plymouth colony establishes the system of trial by a 12-man jury in the American colonies. 1636, the Massachusetts Bay Colony organizes 3 militia regiments to defend the colony against Indians, a date now that is considered the founding of the National Guard of the United States. 1974, in the Vietnam War, the North Vietnamese forces launched their 1975 Spring Offensive. Sounds like they're coming out with a new fashion line. The Spring Offensive this year features platform shoes and a lot of pastels. 1988, PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat gives a speech at the UN General Assembly meeting in Geneva, Switzerland, after the United States authorities refused to grant him a visa to visit the UN headquarters in New York. Now, I remember this from the news, and I think it's a little strange that we should be allowed to do that. I mean, the UN is a world thing, and in a way, we're lucky enough, we're honored to host it here in the United States. But I think no matter what the situation is, you should be able to get a pass if you're going to the UN, no matter if you're an enemy. Almost like diplomatic immunity, kind of a white flag type thing, you know, you should be allowed to do that. I don't know why that was, but kind of strange. 2003, Iraq War, Operation Red Dawn. Former Iraqi President Saddam Hussein is captured near his home in Tikrit, Iraq, or Iraq, however you want to say it. Movies released on December 13th, 2013, Saving Mr. Banks, a biographical drama about the development of the film Mary Poppins. The film depicts author P.L. Travers' tragic childhood and her meeting with Walt Disney in 1961 when he attempted to obtain the screen rights to her novels. Emma Thompson's performance earned her the Best Actress nomination at the BAFTA Awards, Golden Globe Screen Actors Guild Awards, and the Critics' Choice Awards. It also starred Tom Hanks and Colin Farrell. It was an okay movie. It was interesting. Okay, so how do I explain this? It was a very interesting movie, and I watched the whole thing and I enjoyed it. It was just terribly slow. So if you got some time and you're not looking for a lot of action, it's a pretty good movie to watch. Didn't have a lot of drama. It was just kind of, It's just kind of a story about 2 people. Born on December 13th, 1989, Taylor Swift, singer-songwriter who at the age of 18 became the youngest solo artist to write and record a #1 hit on the U.S. Hot Country Songs chart with her single, Our Song. Taylor Swift is arguably the biggest musical act, star, whatever you want to call it, walking the planet right now. She's huge. And just recently, she ran into a problem with ticket sales and Ticketmaster. If you don't know about Ticketmaster, they're like one of the most hated companies on the planet. And this isn't anything new. In the last God knows how long, since the 80s, if you've went to see a concert, you've probably had to deal with Ticketmaster, especially if it's a big name show. Over the years, people have kind of had it with Ticketmaster. I mean, there's some situations where you could buy a ticket and they have so many fees attached to that ticket that in some cases, it's more than the actual ticket. John Oliver did a thing where he found $20 monster truck show tickets and the fees were like $1 more than the actual ticket. And in a lot of cases, they're like 75% of what the ticket is. So if you're buying a ticket that's $100, it's going to be $176 after the fees and taxes and all that stuff are done with you. They're so bad that groups over the years, including Pearl Jam is probably one of the biggest ones, refuse to deal with them. Well, that brings us to Taylor Swift. Poor Taylor Swift puts her tickets up there for sale like any other big ticket band will. And then the fiasco that becomes the Ticketmaster tickets was ridiculous. First of all, they sold out, the website crashed, and just all this stuff kind of bubbled to the top of what they're doing. And you have these resale markets like StubHub and SeatGeek and all that. Well, come to find out, Ticketmaster puts aside a whole bunch of tickets for those services, those aftermarket people. So the actual fans, they're only putting like 10% of the tickets up for them. So if you get on Ticketmaster's website and you're trying to get tickets, you're probably not going to get tickets because only 10% of those tickets actually show up on their website. They made more money selling them to all those other aftermarket people. And when those people get a hold of the tickets, they're ridiculous. My daughter and my wife, we're going to go see Taylor Swift in Seattle. Now, this is in July, I believe, so quite a few months off, but as soon as they went on sale, I looked and there was none on Ticketmaster, so that, by the way, that's the day they went on sale. So I went to like SeatGeek and a couple of the other ones, StubHub, I think. So it was SeatGeek and StubHub. And unless they wanted nosebleed tickets or, behind the stage and under a awning or something like that, the tickets were going to be over $500 a piece, minimum. And that's not for good tickets. If you wanted decent tickets where you actually might be able to make out what she's wearing, they were over $1,000. Actually, the pair that I was looking at that I thought would be decent for them were $1,700 a piece. Now, to be fair, which I don't really want to be fair to Ticketmaster, they do share some of those fees with the venues and different things like that. It's not just all money they're pocketing. They're pocketing a lot of it, most of it probably, but they do have to share a little bit of that with other people involved in every show. After the Taylor Swift fiasco, the government's kind of given Ticketmaster a look. They're going to see if they're a monopoly and all that other stuff. At the bare minimum, the people from Ticketmaster are probably going to have to come into Congress and explain themselves. The problem is, according to the chair of the Federal Trade Commission, is Ticketmaster's become too big to care. But yeah, today is Taylor Swift's birthday. I think she's a great young lady. I'm not really into her music, but the interviews and the personality she's putting out there to the public, she seems like a very down-to-earth, nice young lady. There is one song that I love of hers. It's with the lead singer, Justin Vernon of Bon Iver. It's called Exile. If you want to hear a really good song, it's a little slow, it's emotional, but it is an outstanding piece of music. Died on December 13th, 1970, Chick Gandil, one of the ringleaders of the infamous Chicago Black Sox. These are the guys who threw the 1919 World Series in Cincinnati. He ran away from home at age 17 to play baseball, making ends meet with odd jobs and the occasional boxing match. So back in the day, the owner of the White Sox was kind of known as a cheapskate, Charles Comiskey. The players really weren't happy with the money they were making. They had no union. They couldn't do anything about it. If you wanted to play baseball, you just had to play for whatever the owners were going to give you. Then along came some gamblers or, like an organized crime situation, and they offered him almost 10 times what he would have made in a single year just to throw the World Series. He was kind of the ringleader of it, and he did. After the World Series, Gandil and 7 of his White Sox teammates were indicted, and he came back after the World Series in July of 1921 to stand trial for fixing the series. They had a trial, and all 8 of the players were found not guilty. Now, it was kind of known that they did, but the jury just didn't find them guilty. And Gandil said, I guess that'll learn Ban Johnson, who was the president of the American League at the time. He said, anyway, I guess that'll learn Ban Johnson he can't frame an honest bunch of ball players. So they were happy that, they got away with this, but their happiness was short-lived. Gandil and the others were permanently banned from organized baseball after the trial. Gandil was married for 62 years, and on December 13th, 1970, he had been suffering from heart disease and emphysema, and he passed away. The official cause of death was heart failure. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.